Hello, and welcome to a special episode of Legacy Her Way. Hi, I'm Tanya Hendrix, and today we are honoring veterans. When this episode airs, it will be Veterans Day, and I couldn't think of a better way to celebrate Veterans Day for a podcast than to have a veteran on our podcast. And also, just as a special thank you. I have a real heart for veterans. I have an immense appreciation for veterans. My dad served in the U.S. Air Force. My stepdad, and he served during Vietnam. My stepdad served over 20 years in the Air Force, served in Vietnam on Monkey Mountain, and then my father-in-law served in the Korean War and earned 3 Purple Hearts on the Korean War. And so I have just an immense appreciation and heart for people who are willing to put on the uniform, who have that courage and are willing to make that sacrifice to serve our country. And so I'm excited to talk with our guest today about her service and what that meant to her. And as this podcast is all about legacy, we'll of course talk about legacy her way. But this episode today is just very special. And I hope that as you hear this episode, that you will thank a veteran when you see them out and about today. Whenever you hear this podcast, always think a veteran, but also thank the spouses, because I believe that even though the veteran is the one that puts on the uniform and goes out each and every day, the military spouses are extremely important and vital to the mission. They're a vital part of a successful military operation because they're the ones that are kind of making sure things are okay at home so the military personnel can go out and serve and not have to think about things. So I also always thank the spouses because I just do think that's an important element to our service members and their ability to serve in the military. So today, well, first of all, I have to say that this episode, as always, is sponsored by Huntsville Estate Planning Lawyer, where we empower your vision and secure your future through trademarks and estate planning. So today, we have a very special guest. Missy Bray is our guest today. Missy, She served in the United States Army from July 1999 to October 2007. She served 2 tours in Iraq in 2003 and 2005. Mrs. Bray was stationed in Baumholder, Germany, and Fort Carson, Colorado. It was at Fort Carson where she met her husband, Jason, when they have been married for 21 years. That is astounding in this day and age. So congratulations. They have 2 children together. After leaving the Army, Ms. Bray continued her service by working as an Army civilian, working mostly in human resources for 17 years. She is now recently retired, and she is enjoying life one beach at a time. So that's exciting. Well, welcome to the show, Missy.
Hi, thank you.
All right. Well, just heard that you served in the Army you joined in 1999. How old were you in 1999?
I was 18.
Okay. So what
Class.
inspired you or sparked you to enlist in the Army?
I wanted, excuse me. I wanted money for college. I wanted to travel, and I was not going to be able to go to college without possibly joining the Army. So, and I wanted away from my hometown at the time. So I just wanted to venture out, and so I did. So I joined the Army,
Uh-huh.
and it was the best decision I ever made in my life. So,
Well, how is that? Why so?
well, it made me grow up. I mean, I had already grew up, but in other ways, but it made me grow up and, be responsible and be on my own, be independent. And I appreciated that. And when I got out the Army, I was able to join government civilian and, continue serving. And I would have never gotten that job had I not been in the Army. And I just think it enforced values in my life that I still use to this day.
What did you do in the Army?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
What did you do? What was your job in the Army?
So when I first joined the Army, I was a 75 hotel. It was a personnel service specialist. And then it changed to a 42 Alpha, which is a human resource specialist.
Okay. And you mentioned that you joined so you can go to college. Did you go to college when you got out of the Army?
I went to college actually while I was still in the Army
Okay.
some, and then continued on after the Army, but I only have my associate's degree. I have 11 credits from a bachelor's degree, but I may go back and finish that, but I
Okay.
haven't yet.
And what did you do? I think I mentioned in the bio, but when you went into civilian working for the civilian on the civilian side of the Army, you were doing human resources, is that correct?
I actually started off as an admin, and then I was an admin for about 4 years, and then moved up to the HR office, so, and worked HR the rest of my career.
Okay. So when you decided back in 1999 as an 18-year-old to sign up for the Army, was it scary? Was it kind of a scary decision to do that?
Uh, I wouldn't say that it was scary. I'm sorry, my glasses are fogging up. I wouldn't say it was scary. Um, I guess I was a little scared to leave home. I'd never really, I guess, left home. I'd been to Texas and been on vacation to Ohio, but I never left home for a long period of time. So that was, I left for the Army, went through basic training at AIT, and then got stationed in Germany. So I was all alone in Germany. I mean, the Army became your family, though. I still have good Army buddies because of it.
Do you really?
Yes.
How long were you in Germany?
3 years and I think 8 months.
Okay. Now, what was it like serving? Well, let me back up. How did you overcome any like if there were any type of fear or concern by to join the army? Like what were you just completely motivated by making sure you could pay for college, or was what obstacles you have to come overcome in order to sign up at 18?
Um, I would say the PT, the physical activity, because I didn't do any. Um, and I was a really slow runner that I made it. When I first joined the Army, I had heard some rumors from some friends that they said I wouldn't make it.
Mhm.
And so when I heard those rumors, I proved them wrong and I made it.
Very good. Very good. What did you do? What did you do to prove them wrong? Like, did you start training? What did you do?
I mean, I just graduated basic and AITs because I guess they said that I wouldn't make it, that I wouldn't graduate at all. So,
Okay. Well, you
mm,
showed them right. Showed them wrong then. Very good.
yeah.
So, what was it like serving in the Army as a woman?
Um, it was different. I feel like it was harder for me because I think the physical activity is basically one of my biggest things at that time.
Mhm.
I wasn't in shape. I didn't do any exercise at all. So, going from doing nothing and trying to do push ups and sit ups and running and just doing all that, it was hard.
Mhm.
But I guess somehow I just made it and survived.
Yeah. Well, I know you also served 2 tours in Iraq. What was that like as a woman?
My first deployment was in 2003, and I deployed with the 90th PSB out of Baumharder, Germany. Um, it was, excuse me, it was interesting. I got to be stationed with the Navy actually when I was in Iraq.
Oh, wow.
There was about four of us, and we worked at the Navy Fleet Hospital 3, and we would track all the casualty patients that came in of the hospital. And we were mainly tracking the Army patients, but we had to call up our headquarters and report up any soldier that came in. So,
Mhm.
and then I also got to be stationed with the Air Force while I was in that first deployment. I'd end up going home. My grandpa had passed away, so I'd end up going home from Iraq and got to go to his funeral. Blessed to be able to do that. He was kind of helped raise me, so I was blessed to be able to go home and see his funeral. He
Oh, yeah.
passed away right before I made it home. Um,
Mhm.
and then I came back to Germany, and they said you're going back to Iraq, and so went back to Iraq, and I got stationed with the Air Force, and we tracked all the soldiers that left Baghdad going on vacations or R&R, like a rest and relaxation, because they were starting to let soldiers go on rest and relaxation at this time. Any soldiers that left Iraq, we were tracking them coming in and out. So.
Okay. So, what does it mean to you that you were able to serve in the Army?
It means a lot to me because I don't think that I realized it a lot, growing up about what our soldiers did for us. And that, because of them, we are free and we're able to be here and walk our streets, and we're protected. I didn't realize, I think, some of that growing up. I know Desert Storm was happening when I was like in first grade, I think it was. And I just still remember the song by Lee Greenwood, and where you gladly stand up. And that song means so much to me in my life.
Does it
And
really?
so, yes.
Mhm. So,
What I was saying there.
huh?
I was trying to remember what else I was saying there. I'm sorry.
Well, what was I know you mentioned having to overcome the PT, but what were some of the hard won lessons that, or unexpected lessons that you learned while in the Army?
um, let's see. I'd say being responsible, being on your own, having to make sure that you get up, you get to your formation on time. When I was in Germany and Baumholder, I mean, we kind of relied on each other. We had to get to work. We'd go to PT, which you could walk to our PT where we did our PT. It was the gym down the street. You could walk to that, but we actually worked off a post. So it was a couple of miles away. We couldn't really just walk there within a certain time frame. I mean, you probably could have, but we never did.
Mhm,
So we all had to ride together, so you had to make sure that you were, ready to go when your other friend had a car to get there.
mhm,
Or you had to take a taxi. I think I took a taxi a couple of times, but
mhm,
so I think that was hard. I'd had a job before the Army, but I think that was just harder because I did not have a vehicle.
mhm.
I couldn't afford a vehicle at first, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, I relied on other soldiers to help me out and get me to where I needed to be. But we were a team.
Mhm.
But also, I had to be ready on time. And if they were ready, they're going to leave you. So,
Well, have you thought about legacy? Have you given any thought to your legacy and what does that mean to you?
um, yes. I feel like that I'm hoping I'm leaving a good legacy for my children, that I have served my country along with their grandfathers. Their dad has also served the Army. And that, being responsible, leading, and, you can't just not do something. You have to take care of your life. You have to um, taking care of them, leading them. One of my biggest things I would say for me is like my grandpa always taught me to be independent
Mhm,
and not to rely on anyone, and I don't mean that nothing toward a spouse or anything.
right.
It's just be independent, period.
Mhm.
So I know that, if anything is to happen, I'm independent. I can take care of myself. I can take care of my children, and that I will be okay.
So you mentioned your grandfather. Is he the one who shaped your idea of legacy growing up, or was there someone else, or was it something else that shaped your idea of legacy?
I would say yes. My grandfather did. I joined ROTC in high school as well. I think that did help some, which my grandfather did not like. Um, I joined, actually, it's funny because I joined ROTC just to go to the military ball. So, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to join the Army or military. I'm just doing this for fun. Just go to the military ball. but it shaped me to actually want to join the military, and also, the college benefits, the benefits of having a job, the
Mhm.
experience, traveling. So, I mean, I wouldn't have been able to go to Germany. I went to Paris. I went to Holland. I probably never would have done any of those things had it not been for the Army.
So why did it make your grandfather mad that you joined ROTC?
I don't think he really wanted me to join the Army, or military, period. I think because he knew that war could happen, and
Mhm.
it did.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. That's I've heard that from others, um, that they were discouraged. In fact, my I mentioned my father-in-law started in Korea when his children were coming of age. He did not want them to join. He said he served his time and he saw a lot of things in Korea. So he said, I served my time so my kids don't have to serve theirs. Um, and that was just kind of
yeah.
the mentality he had, because of all the things he saw. Like you mentioned, your grandfather knew war could happen, and it's not. I mean, it's war's awful. What people are exposed to.
Yes.
So yeah, I can understand where your grandfather came from, saying he didn't really want you to do that, but you did, and I'm sure he was very proud of you doing so and
Oh,
serving.
yes, he was.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned your sons or your children. How many children do you have?
I have 2. I have a son who is 16 and a daughter that is 14.
Okay. How do you, well, how, but what do you hope to leave them? Like, what morals or values are you hoping to pass down to them?
To be independent. Um, to go out there, my eyes watering, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
To, go out there and travel the world and visit the world and find yourself, and, don't let no one say that you can't do it. Prove them wrong.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just like you did. I mean, you proved everybody wrong.
Yes.
Mhm. What was it like when you left the Army? You then went into the civilian workforce for the Army. What was that transition like?
It was hard. Um, Coming from the Army and with some of the officers I would say I worked for, you got stuff done and it got done right away. And I came back to the civilian world and it was a little different. And it was more relaxed and working a 9 to 5 job, and very calm. And I didn't have to stay late and work later until it was done. Or, I mean, there was times that did happen,
Mhm.
in the government, but it was more laid back and relaxed, and you just did your job, and then you went home and and had a family, and it was
Yeah. How did you
different. I
balance work and family?
don't. It was hard, and I don't think I did it very well at the very beginning, to be honest. I think I realized it later that I was not going on my kids' field trips and, not taking the vacation that I should have, because I wanted the job and I liked my job and I did it well. Um, but then I realized later that, you need to take those vacations and you need to go spend your time with your child if you can at that field trip, because your job will still be there,
Mhm.
or you can find another one. And I didn't take some of those times, and I paid the price for that, I have to say, in some ways. But I did go on some. I'm not saying I didn't go on all of them,
Yeah.
but um, I let my career take over my um, work life balance. So
I think that's easy to do because you're trying to build your career and it's a difficult
yes,
balance. It's difficult trying to balance that, pursuing your career, being a good employee or being a good, boss, whatever your position is, and then also being there for your children and particularly like doing, I mean, there's with kids, there's always trips, sporting events, different things. And so it is difficult to balance those out. So don't, I don't want anyone to beat themselves up over not doing a great job of balancing at when you're starting out, you're still learning things and you're still trying to figure things out. And I mean,
Yes.
it is just difficult.
Yeah.
So now that you're fully retired, if someone is listening to this, what would if someone's just is listening that they're just beginning their legacy journey, they're just beginning thinking about what they want to do in their life or how they want to leave their legacy, what would be your best advice to them on what to do?
I would say to be strong and study. People are going to say things to you that is not nice, and you need to just think about it, pray about it, um, and work hard, and you will get better.
Mhm.
Um,
And what if there is a young woman listening to this who is considering the military as an option? What would you say to them, to her?
I say you should. I would say you should do it. It's one of the best things I did. It put me in a good career path. You know, now while I didn't spend 20 years in the Army and retire from the Army, I was retired as Army civilian, but um, I would have, but my story is different. I wanted to have children, and I decided to get out.
Mhm.
I saw my friends leave for Iraq, and they had a little baby in their arms, and they came back from Iraq, and that baby was walking and talking, and I said, I'm not going to do that. So my
Yeah.
story is different, but that doesn't mean yours can. You can. Families do it all the time.
Mhm.
I just chose not to.
Yeah.
Um, but be strong, and you've got this.
Very good. Very good. All right. Now let's I just forgot what I was gonna I was on had a train of thought, completely forgot. If you could if you could write a letter to your 20-year-old self, oh, let me back up, your 18-year-old self as you are beginning that journey going into the military. If you could go back and write if you could write your letter to your 18-year-old self, what would it say?
Ooh, that's a good one. um, I'm gonna say be strong, study harder, work out more, take the trips with your family when you can, take your vacations, travel the world, and save some money.
Very good. All right. Now, um, the title of this podcast is Legacy Her Way, and as you have heard that and thought about that in terms of your military service and even in terms of your service as a civilian with the army, what does legacy her way mean to you?
Um, Maybe that I've left a legacy of being a female soldier, that I was able to do it, and then also join the Army civilian world and retire. And I'm leaving a legacy that I retired. I had great customer service, I hope. um, and that I was always there to help someone and still am to this
Yeah.
day.
Well, Missy, thank you so much for your time today. Is there anything else you want to say to listeners today?
Um, just want to say thank you all for your service that are out there. And if you're considering joining the military, it's a great decision and go for it.
Very good. Well,
Thank you.
again, Missy, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. And thank you for your service and also for your husband, his service. As I said at
Thank
the
you.
beginning of the podcast, I have an immense amount of appreciation for those who have served. And so I do appreciate the sacrifices you made to go and serve, being away from family. being another country completely. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, and so I appreciate your service there and for our country. I want to thank you all for joining me on Legacy Her Way. If today's conversation moved you or spoke to you, share it with a friend, but also subscribe. You need to subscribe to this podcast so that you can be sure to catch other episodes. And I do want to point out that when this podcast airs, the week previous, the week prior to this podcast, you'll have heard about an agency or organization called Invisible Warriors that is specifically for women veterans. So if you are a female veteran listening to this podcast and you did not hear the Invisible Warriors podcast or find out about that, please go check it out because they offer services specifically for female veterans to be sure that some of your unique experiences, traumas, whatever may have happened are addressed and helped. So again, thank you, Missy, for your service and for joining me today. This has been Legacy Her Way. Please share it, subscribe, and most of all, keep defining your legacy your way. Thank you.